In this episode, we're going to download a model from Mixamo and integrate it into Unity. Things have changed since the last time I did this, so I wasn't able to demonstrate importing textures in class. I'm going to correct that here, and it's pretty easy to do. First, we're going to log into the Mixamo website. You'll need a free account, Adobe account, to do this. Once you log in, select the Characters tab. Pick a model that you're interested in from their list. The textures are pretty low-key for the most part, and that's the way they come. We can adjust them in Photoshop or something like that later. But for right now, just select one, hit download, and select FBX for Unity. And the T-pose is fine. We're going to override the T-pose when the time comes. So we will hit download, and it will prepare a package. And then we are going to pick a project, assets, and then I'm going to create a new model folder here. And underneath this, create one for this particular model. You may have had one created already for you for Unity Chan. I've backed that out of this project series because I'm not going to be using Unity Chan anymore. It has filled its role there. Now we have an empty folder here, and I'm going to fix the name here because it has the it's adjusted the name because I did download this before making this video, and I did that in another project. Okay, so we go into the folder here and we'll save it there. Okay, now that's part of the project, so when I go over here it will import the model into the project, and we see the model here, and you'll notice that it is not textured. It is using a default diffuse material. Furthermore, it's sort of inside out. It's a bit transparent in places, so we don't want that. The change here is this new materials tab up here. With the FBX part selected, we can see it down here where it says modelname.fbx. With that selected, select the materials tab, and then we're just going to go ahead and extract textures. I'm going to make a new folder here, and I'm just going to call it materials. It'll hold both materials and the textures. Select the folder, and it will bring the stuff in. Now, let me see if I can get this back on screen. It brought up this error message here, which has been around forever, saying that texture is being used as a normal map. Click Fix It, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. Then go ahead and extract the materials. And now it is a textured model. We can't really see it too well down here because of the way they lit it, which is too bad. But we can bring it into the scene. Now the player controller is down here. I'm going to get rid of that player controller, but I'm going to use it because let's see, where is the field of view of the camera? Looks like it's looking back up into these trees here. So I'll just drag my model out here, and indeed it looks textured. And I'll click Rotate to rotate it around. Okay, now it looks inside out. There are portions that don't look right, and so we're going to fix that here in just a second. And that has to do with the actual shader that's being used here. If I select the model down here, I have to select this part down here that has the it's called work, and it has a material. And we see that it has a standard shader. Once we've gone ahead and extracted the materials and the textures, the shader becomes editable. And I don't have really a problem with standard shader. You can experiment with that, but what we really want to do is change that to opaque. And you can see right away it changes it. So I'm going to go back over here. This is where it was to transparent. and you can see it in both windows. And now I'm going to select opaque, and that fixes a lot of problems there. You can change, experiment with different textures if you feel like it. It'll give us a little bit different look. I think we're much better off taking the time to bring the material into something like Photoshop and just edit it there. I don't think any of these are really doing much. To it. The problem is there's not very much saturation in the colors. Alright, not a problem. If we go into the folder, into the materials, we can find the materials here and edit them. And this is what it looks like down in this screen right here. Okay, this Unity is not an image editing program. It gives us very little ability to modify things. However, bring it into an editor and change it. Okay, so that being said, now we have a model in here. We don't have our animations, so let's go ahead and get some animations. And we'll go back here to Mixamo and select an animation. Animations come in two colors here, the blue and the pink, which are for the male and the female animations. It's just that some animations have a more feminine look to them, so they colored them pink. Some of the stuff is just I really don't care about, but there are some things that are really good to have in general. Now, it will really depend on what you're going to be doing, what animations you need. We have pages of them, 52 pages of them. A walking animation is always a good thing. Notice that it is translating the model across here. I'm going to select in place, and he'll do a treadmill animation. I have no other changes with this, so I will go ahead and download this particular animation. And we go ahead and select it without skin. Make it just a skeleton only. And so it will come down to us here in a second. And we can drop it right in here. Now the file name will have the model in it, but the animation clip may not. Okay, so here's a dying animation. Is that going to work for me? Alright. He's kind of underground doing that. I'm going to fault the animation for right now. And let's pick another one. Let's see if this works a little bit better. Well, I can't really tell because you're... Alright. Both of these are kind of doing that. I think I'd like the other... Alright. Let's all go ahead and I'll just go ahead and download this one here, and we'll add up. A walking animation is good to have. A dying, a running animation would be good to have. So I can just select run, and it'll give everything with run in here. Lots of different ones. And let's see which one looks best. I'll take this one here. Okay. Now that's enough to get it spy with for a little bit. So I'll go back to Unity, and you'll see it's bringing in the animations, and they'll be down here if we click on them. Oops, I accidentally double-clicked and brought out Visual Studio, which is not what I want to look at the animation. What I did want to do is to open it up here and see the clip is named Dying. So if we click on the Animation tab here, I don't care about the materials or anything because we're going to use the avatar from the other piece. Okay, so rig avatar will be copied from other model, and the other model will be the generic avatar for this guy. Okay, apply that. Make sure the animation type is humanoid. I'm going to have to reselect the avatar. Okay, I think the problem was the original avatar was a problem there. So we revert this, go back to this guy here, and check him into there. That's the problem. Original avatar must be made humanoid. So we come over here, we can copy from it, select this avatar, and apply. The animation clip, however, has the term dying there. I'm going to rename it to work dying so that all the animations look the same. This is not a one that loops. We don't expect it to loop. I am going to select bake into pose for these, and that should take care of that for right now. And then I'll select the running, rig, create from other avatar, humanoid, work, apply, animation, okay, and remember to bake into pose. And notice that the running does loop for us if we ask it to. So go ahead and take a little bit of time to do this with all of your animations. By sharing the same avatar, we're sharing the same textures and materials be applied to all the animations. And this baking into pose turns off root motion. The most obvious effect it has is reducing foot slip. So if I want to play the animation, you can barely see it down here due to the way they lit it. Much easier to build a new animator controller for it, and we'll just bring those in. And by those I mean those animations. You know what I didn't bring down was an idle. So I'm going to bring in some idle animations. And here are some various idles that can be applied to work. No, too jerky. That's a reasonable one there. I'm going to want more than one idle. So down here, and I'll call this one idle 1. Okay, how about this guy right here? Okay, having this happen occasionally would be useful. And key is occasionally. We want to create a state machine, or we want the ability to create a state machine where we will I don't know about some of this stuff here. Doesn't really do anything. Okay, so I just brought down there, item 1, 2, and 3. And so they came in here. So I'm going to pause the video here and go ahead and fix those animations up like I did with the other ones. Okay, so just review. I just made sure that each animation in its rigging was set to humanoid, copied the avatar from the original textured model, and renamed the animation clip, and then baked everything into pose. Okay, now I should not need to extract materials or anything because all that stuff should track the avatar. So now what we can do is create our animation controller. And I will create that here in my top level, collapse these down, clean up the directories a little bit, and I will create an animator controller. And this will be work control. Okay, and so this guy, if I double click on it, shows me the mechanism state machine, and we see the any state entry and exit pseudo stuff, and then I will just bring in all of these clips and say here's a bunch of stuff. Now it has selected this is its default. I'm going to make idle 1 the default layer, and then I will go back to the scene and click run. And oh, I didn't assign the controller. You know, that happens quite a bit with me on that. We have an animator. I want to bring in the work control. And now he's in his idle pose. Okay, opaque, textured, in his idle pose, standing on the ground. All the things that I look for. Okay. Now, other things we can do is we can generate state machine that would transition between these. That's something we can do. Another thing is to create a state machine that transitions between the running and the walking. So, a blend tree for that. That would be very useful. My goal here is that I want to take the third-party controller, hook them into this, and then I want to eventually transition that to the AI third-person controller. In preparing for to import the third-person controller, I went ahead and added in a left and right turn animation that I pulled down from Mixamo, did the same things. Now, at this point, I'm going to get rid of the player controller and I'm going to bring in a third-person controller, and we'll do some stuff with that. Okay. Now, the player controller scripts and all that are still backed up. I still have those on other projects, but for right now, I want a under standard assets third-person controller And prefab, we see there's a third-person controller. And I will drop that in the scene here. And it comes with its own model, which is Ethan. So if I... Oh, yeah, we don't have a camera. That would be a bit of a problem. Now let's bring in a camera. See where I put my game object. Not the regular camera. Well, I'll just use a regular camera for right now. Okay, so let's move this one around a little bit. If I can get a hold of the... there we go. This is the one I want. Alright, fix the camera. Click on play. Now Ethan should be live with my WASD keys. And we can see that he does indeed move around the scene. Now I don't have a good walk there. I can kind of hit the key, just tap it lightly, and he kind of slows down. But if we had an analog controller, we could probably get a better mix of that. But he has very smooth animations because he has a lot of them. If we go and we take a look at the animator for him, the animation controller. This is Ethan's state machine here. And his biggie is this grounded state, which is where he is when he's on the ground. And we see he has all of these animations in a big blend tree. What I'm going to do is just replace these animations with, replace everything with the work stuff. So that we'll still have the same behavior there. So I'm going to pick the closest ones we have to these animations. Run, walk left, all that. So we'll see how that works for us. Okay, so let's work on getting Ethan's behavior taken transferred over to the work. I'm going to first of all I'm going to create another empty game component here because I want another level of abstraction here. I'm calling it NPC, and the work model will be what's used by this NPC. Later I'll move a camera in with it so that well, I can do that right now. There. Now the camera is slaved to the NPC, and we'll chase him around. We'll use a different camera later on. Right now Ethan has all this behavior here, and I'm just going to copy it here. I'll start with the animator. So I will copy the component, and then I'll come down here to the work, and well, he already has it there. So although I'm going to paste this in here. Paste component is new. So I just overwrote that. We'll come back to that animator again, but I want to use all of Ethan's behavior for the moment. Bring the rigid body over here, copy component, select this guy, and paste component is new. It's rigid body, the capsule collider, copy component, paste component is new. And then lastly, these scripts down here. Now I'm going to copy the component, but when I paste it, it's going to create the script as well. Both of these will it'll create the character script as well. So both of these come in at once. However, their values won't. So when I paste component is new, I get two of them. This particular script isn't the same as this. So I'm going to do is I'll copy the component again, but this time since I can't paste the component, I can paste the component value. Oh, it's not letting me. Okay, so something's not quite right with that. Let me just double check. Oh, I got it's the character values that I selected. This is okay, so I can paste it in. Now we should have complete duplicate behavior, except that we're using the wrong avatar, and I'll select the work avatar now. Okay. So let's go back to the scene view. I should be able to just disable this controller here. I'll get rid of him in a second. Let's just disable him. And I can run him around just like I would Ethan. Okay, so that was pretty good. My only objection to that would be that we're using the third-person animator controller, and it might be better to use instead of using Ethan's animations. It'd be better to go and use the animations from Mixamo. Okay, that's something that we could do. What we do is just make a copy of this controller and then just replace the clips as needed. Okay, so in the blend tree, just select, instead of idle, we'd select one of the work idles. So you can see the value of having all of the animations named with the character, because we can find them all together. We have that with Ethan's as well. We did not have that naming convention with Unity Chan, which was too bad. So let's just select which of the ones we want and selectively replace them if a particular animation isn't working for us. Okay, so that takes us to this. We have a character up and running with the animator controller. Now let me just double check something here, and that is, okay, the camera is not translating with him. It's not the camera is parented to this NPC class and not the model. I could make this a chase camera, or I could just go in here. Do I have the cameras imported? I don't think I do here, so I'm importing the different cameras. One of the cameras that's very nice to have for third person, get rid of that one, is, and then find underneath the cameras, under the prefabs, is the multi-purpose camera rig. Okay, so I will just drop that into the scene, parent that to NPC. What this means now is I can just move NPC around, and that will cause it to move. I want to I'm looking at the camera settings right now to see if I need to what needs to be changed here. Let me see. A target would be a good thing to pick here. Let's just say this is the target that I want. Okay, we see the chase cam automatically moves, and now the camera gives chase. Camera does go through trees. That's a good behavior there. I mean, a lot of times we want third-person games. Sometimes we want first-person. I prefer first-person in many cases. The reason I would use a camera like this, I might get rid of that chase script or modify it so that it's not as distracting. But you can always zoom the camera in to be roughly where the head is and get a first-person view. But having the option to either zoom the camera back out or have several preset transforms that the camera will snap to, so that we can get an overhead 3/4 or a side view or something like that, and just switch between camera positions, is very nice. So the multi-purpose camera rig gives us a lot of flexibility that we don't have with our standard camera. I'm going to have to do something about this water here. You can see how every time I turn around, it's added a bunch of water stuff here. So that's something I'm putting on my list of stuff to do here. But for right now, we have our character up and running, and we can start to look into some other things. So I think I'll stop the video here, and then we'll pick up with another topic.